By the end of the video, you're gonna forget about your own problems, you're gonna be relaxed. So grab a drink, grab a snack, and enjoy.
I was never my parents' daughter. Not really. Livia was my sister. Livia, with her golden hair and easy laughter, the one they held, the one they loved. I was just there, a shadow in the background, a pair of hands washing dishes, cooking meals, cleaning up after her messes. I learned young that I didn't matter. When I fell off my bike at 6, my knee bleeding, they told me to stop crying. When Livia scraped her elbow, they carried her inside, bandaged her like she was made of glass. By 12, I knew how to cook. By 16, I knew they would never change. My birthday came and went without a word. No cake, no presents. A month later, Livia's birthday filled the house with balloons. That night, I made my choice. At 18, I packed my bags. They didn't notice. Maybe they thought I'd come back. Maybe they didn't care. I walked out without looking back. Years passed. I built my own life. No calls, no visits. Then one day, my phone buzzed. Their number. I let it ring. Then, on the fourth call, I answered. Elena. My mother's voice was small, weak. Livia took everything. The house, the money. She left us with nothing. Livia had emotionally trapped them to give their everything to her. And then left with her boyfriend to another country. My father sighed. We need you. You're sorry. For everything. Please. Sorry? Where was there sorry when I was a child, invisible in my own home? Where was there sorry when I worked 2 jobs just to survive? I gripped the phone. Did I owe them anything? I took a breath. I needed you once, I said. You weren't there. Silence. Elena, please. I hung up, and this time, I didn't look back.
I, 27F, have a complicated family dynamic, to say the least. My ex-boyfriend Alex, 30M, and I dated for 3 years, and during that time, he became really close with my family. He was charming, helpful, and honestly, my parents liked him more than I did toward the end of the relationship. We broke up amicably, or so I thought, but it still stung when, less than a year later, my brother Matt, 32M, announced that he and Alex were dating. At first, I tried to be supportive. Love is love, and it wasn't like I wanted Alex back. But the dynamic became unbearable when they got married and Alex essentially inserted himself into every family situation. He has this knack for twisting conversations into awkward reminders of our past relationship. At family dinners, he'll make comments like, "Oh, remember when we used to eat at this place all the time?" while my brother sits there awkwardly. Fast forward to now, their relationship is a total train wreck. They fight constantly and drag my parents into it. My mom confided in me that Alex has been pressuring Matt to buy a house he doesn't want, and now Matt's credit is tanked. On top of that, Alex's behavior at family gatherings has been unbearable. He got drunk at my niece's birthday party last week and made a toast where he joked about how he dated me first and married up. I tried to stay neutral for years, but this is getting out of hand. My brother is visibly miserable, but every time I bring it up, he accuses me of trying to sabotage his marriage out of jealousy. Meanwhile, my parents are exhausted by the drama but refuse to set boundaries because they're afraid of losing Matt and their future grandchildren. I'm torn between letting this dumpster fire burn itself out and stepping in to tell my brother he deserves better. Has anyone else dealt with a situation where a family member married your ex? How'd I handle this without completely tearing the family apart?
I, 26M, come from a pretty big family. My parents came to America from Europe when they were in their early 20s. After settling in, they had 6 kids total. This is about my older 2 sisters. When I was 15, my sister Joy, 27F, started dating Tim, 30M. The family really liked Tim. He was funny, kind, and had a promising future. I saw how much Joy loved him and how loving he was to her back. Everyone saw how much their love was strong, or at least we thought. When I was 16, I was watching the Disney Channel with my younger sister since she was 6 at the time, and it was nighttime on a Friday. Suddenly, I saw Joy pass by and slammed the door to her room. Joy never ever slammed doors, even when she was in a bad mood. Before I could get up, my parents came in and told my younger sister to go play or watch TV somewhere else. After she left, my parents sat down and started talking. Earlier that day, Joy was at her part-time job on her break at her part-time job when her friend told her something shocking. Our older sister, Jessica, 32F, was pregnant and came out of a doctor's office with Tim. Curious, her friend followed them and saw them make out in the car. The friend took photos and a video of them and showed them to Joy. After learning this, it took a few seconds for it to sink in. My mom looked like she was about to cry while they told me, while my dad barely made eye contact. To say the fallout was massive is an understatement. Jessica came back from work one day for dinner. She lived with a friend to be closer to her college. That's when my parents confronted her about her pregnancy with Tim. After denial, Jessica admitted she was pregnant with Tim's baby. They had been meeting up secretly for 5 months before she got pregnant. Joy started to sob and scream at Jessica at how she could do this to her. My older brother Jacob, 30M, started yelling too. I just sat back since I didn't know what to do. After what felt like an hour, Jessica packed the rest of her belongings and left. After a week, she contacted me and said if we were still good. She was mistaken that my silence meant I was going to have a relationship with her still. I just told her I didn't want anything more to do with her and blocked her. In a previous post, I said Jessica contacted me a while ago about how Tim was pissed about their recent gender reveal. After the fallout, Jessica married Tim and had their first daughter and another daughter in the summer of 2023. She's now pregnant with another daughter. Tim is pissed because he wanted a son. Then, just yesterday, Jessica's mill contacted me through Facebook if it was true Joy and her husband, Alex, 30M, were having a baby boy. They are. I didn't respond until my wife, 25F, started to get harassed. I told Jessica's mill to leave my wife out of this. I don't know why she wants to know why Joy and her husband are having a boy, but I'm not hopeful it's for any good intentions.
It sounds like the setup to a bad joke, but it's my life. I met my ex when I was 25, and he was 40, a tall, dark, and handsome man with a 4-year-old son and a divorce in his rearview mirror. He just moved to my town, and we met on a dating app. From the beginning, there was this insane chemistry between us, but I also felt a tiny knot of unease. He had a lot of unresolved issues, family drama, a complicated dynamic with his ex, and the weight of raising his son. Looking back, I can see he probably wasn't in a place to be fully present in a relationship, but I was young, naive, and drawn in by the intensity of it all. We fell hard and fast. At first, it felt like we were in our own little world, full of passion, laughter, and wild experiences. But along the way, the cracks started to show. He had an upbringing that sounded like something out of a Netflix docuseries, born and raised in a cult with a psychopathic leader who is now facing federal charges. Seriously. That trauma shaped him in ways I didn't fully understand at the time. He carried guilt from his failed marriage, his infidelities, and a messy co-parenting dynamic that always seemed to suck the air out of the room. I, meanwhile, had my own history of growing up with an alcoholic parent, which made me default to staying small and accommodating others. It was a perfect storm for an unbalanced relationship that could hold all of the disappointment and resentment I carried from my own childhood. I moved in early on and stepped into a parental role with his son. I adored that kid. He was sweet, funny, and full of light, but his dad's inability to parent consistently often put us at odds. Over time, I realized I was pouring myself into this relationship while he remained emotionally distant and dismissive. Every disagreement turned into him running away, shutting down, or turning things back on me. I thought love would be enough to fix it. Spoiler, it wasn't. Fast forward several years, I was in my early 30s, ready to get serious about building a life. He proposed to me and I believed marriage would be the thing to solidify us. We even went to counseling, where I laid out my need for more balance and equality in our relationship. For a moment, things felt better. We planned the wedding, and last September, we finally tied the knot. 7 days later, we had an argument about something small. He blew off one of our dates and it was one of those moments where I needed him to step up, and instead, he never came home. Just like that, no effort to work through it. He sent me an email to say he was done, came back to grab his stuff, and emptied my jewelry box for good measure, and moved out while I was away. He left no room for discussion or closure. To make it worse, he refused to let me say goodbye to his son, or for his son to say goodbye to the family dog. I was gutted. Looking back, I can see it so clearly now. I spent years excusing his behavior, empathizing with his trauma, and making myself smaller to accommodate him. It was exhausting, and instead of becoming stronger together, I lost more and more of myself. His decision to leave, while devastating, forced me to confront that truth. How do I feel about it now? I'm still grieving, still trying to make sense of it, but I'm also grateful to be out of a relationship that wasn't serving me. It's been one of the most confusing and painful experiences of my life, and I'm desperately trying to find myself again. It's not been easy, and today has been painful. To anyone considering marriage, love isn't enough on its own. Pay attention to the red flags, even the ones you don't want to see. And for the love of all things holy, keep your jewelry in a safe place.
Thank you for listening to the video. If you wanna hear more stories just like this, click on the next video right here.